Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. I hope you guys are ready for a great week. We had to call an audible this morning, so we have a special guest with us. We're going to retouch on some things that we talked about last week, and we have to discuss this Urban Meyer situation because I am troubled. I'm very troubled. But before we get into all that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share this with your friends. And now here is the audible that I talked about. I'm your girl, Jackie Ray. You can follow me on all things social media at Ray the Fanatic. Kevin Pryor is here, though, y'all, filling in for CK2K. How you doing with the old school Fumble backdrop?
Hey, listen, I just got called out the bullpen. They went, they tapped the right arm and said, yo, we need you. So I'm happy to join you guys, Jackie. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. New week, new month. A lot of sports to talk, so I'm excited.
Yes, Mike Glock in the chat. No, didn't you hear my whole intro? I said we had to call audible. Chris had to be out today, so we got Kevin. Y'all usually see him in the chat, so he is here with us today. So glad about that. Kevin, how was your weekend?
Weekend was nice. You know, I can't complain. Got my fix of football. The Jets won. So things are pretty good. I can't complain.
All right, so speaking of, let me just say right now, because y'all know I'm a Saints fan, I just want to take the blame for the loss. The loss was 100% my fault because I had to leave. So you guys know sometimes I'm a reporter for the Long Beach Post. So they called me right before we went into overtime. They were like, hey, there's this oil spill in Huntington Beach. We need you to go cover it. I'm like, I can't do it. If I do it, they're going to lose. But they're like, it's your job. So I was like, okay, fine. And then sure enough, I left. And by the time I got there, I picked up my phone and we had lost in overtime. My fault. I'm going to let y'all know.
Giannis is not happy with you this morning, Jackie.
Huh? Oh, nor should
happy.
I am his support system. I'm here for him. I lift him up when he's down, and I wasn't there to do that. It's my fault. It's my fault. And I own it. I own it. All right, you guys, let's get into our first need to know news. We talked about this before, but now we've got Kevin here, and I kind of just want to revisit and see kind of what Kevin thinks about this, because we've heard this before from Giannis about how he feels about the outside noise from other players, not even fans. We've talked about players wanting to kind of deaden the noise when it comes to us and media, but Giannis is trying to do it when it comes to other players, which is interesting. So I want to show you this first tweet from Giannis. It says, Giannis, I don't train with other players. I don't want to be buddies with them. If we are friends, can I go on the court and use my elbow against them? I can't. If I love someone, I love them on the court. I don't want to put myself in this position. So this is an interesting take to me because we've seen players across the league actually be really good friends. You know, when we talk about Carmelo Anthony and LeBron, I've seen Carmelo Anthony and LeBron play against each other, and you forget for like half a second, oh, they're friends. Same with Kyrie and LeBron, basically Kyrie and everybody, kind of. But, it's just one of these things where you do have these relationships outside of the game, but that doesn't always happen on the court. So I found it interesting that he said he can't even practice with, go have coffee with, hang out with other players from the league because he thinks he won't be able to play well against them. Kevin, what did you think about that?
Well, you know what, again, Giannis comes from Greece, right? He doesn't come from this AAU culture. He doesn't come, he has a different background. So again, he's kind of getting his basketball knowledge and IQ from what he's seen in the past and what he's viewed on TV and things of that nature. So they didn't do that in the 80s and 90s. It took Bird and Magic to almost say retire to become communicative guys. Magic Johnson really took Isaiah Thomas's head off one time, and they used to kiss each other before games. So, Giannis is this throwback mentality, and listen, they just won a world championship. So if this is how he has to function in order to be great and be successful, by all means do that. I don't have a problem with a guy telling me, you know what, you're my competition, you're the enemy. I don't want to be friends with you. I have no problems with it.
Okay, circle back. Who used to kiss before the game? This is new information to me.
Well, again, I'm a little older than you. Before games, Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas would kiss. They did this in the finals in 88, 89. They used to little kiss on the cheek before they tipped the ball off. So, and then they would try to kill each other. So, I mean, again, I mean, they were very close. And if you watch some of the documentaries they did, I think last year about their background when in the '88 finals, Isaiah almost had to get his ankle chopped off, and Matt would not let Isaiah use the facilities at the Forum at the time. And again, that kind of put a root in their friendship. But again, going back to Giannis, I don't have a problem with this. Again, like I said, it's not conventional in these day and age. It's 2021. I get it, but this is what makes this guy tick. And again, it's not a bad situation. They just won a championship. Even though we know about Brooklyn and the Lakers, Milwaukee's not trying to go nowhere. So if it's working, stay with it. You can talk to anybody else off the court.
Yeah, I'm not mad at this mentality. I've seen, LeBron and Carmelo have had slight beef on the court before, which is always funny to me. It always looks like brothers arguing because I'm like, y'all know y'all going out for drinks later. Why are y'all even arguing like this? Right. So it is definitely one of those things. I'm with you. I don't mind him having this mentality, but I've played competitive sports and I've literally cussed out people that I know I'm going to take them home at the end of the game. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like once we're on the court, we're not cool. So it's just interesting to me that he feels like he can't separate the two. Like he can't. I mean, we saw last night, if you guys saw Sunday Night Football, which we'll talk a little bit about later, Tom Brady, it took forever for him to do his post-game interview because he had to ask about the kids and the dogs and the wife and let's get together later. He had to hug everybody. But if you saw him when he was playing the game, he was cussing out people. When he got hit that one time when he scrambled for 3 yards, he got up, talked some trash. It was all beef on the field. So it's interesting that Giannis feels like he can't separate the two. I find that very interesting. But let me show you a couple of tweets of what people say about it because you brought up the old school, so I think you'll like this. This first person says, bro gets one ring and think he primed Jordan. Bro need to relax. But then I actually like this next tweet. He says, prime Jordan mentality may potentially lead to prime Jordan results. I like it. So I have to co-sign on that. Like, yeah, we talk about Kobe all the time when he would go up to Jordan and after Jordan would cross him over something, he would go up to Jordan and be like, all right, now what happened there? Explain this to me. So I guess I'm with you. I'm like it. I'm just a little surprised at it, I get. But you got to know yourself well enough to know what you need to do to be successful on the court. So do you think him saying this out loud is a bad thing? Maybe this is something inside, but you don't say it out loud?
Hey, listen, at the end of the day, I agree with you, Jackie. I can try to tear your head off, but when the battle is over, the battle is over. But again, I can't argue with results. So again, if somebody's telling me this is how I have to compete, and I know that going in, by all means, stay with it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's get into our next need to know news because once again, I'm going to have to check the tapes on this one because I had said, now look, it depends on how long you've been with the Fumble. So before Odell went to Cleveland, I said that Cleveland is where football careers go to die. That's basically what I said. It is purgatory. It is over for you if you go to Cleveland. Then they got Odell, and I'm like, okay, maybe this will be different because I didn't want Odell's career to go there and die. I was like, maybe it's not purgatory. Maybe now they'll become the kings of the North. And then all of a sudden, we instantly saw that Baker Mayfield either has those horse blinders on and he can't see Odell, or if he does see Odell, he's looking at him through beer goggles because he never throws the ball to him quite right. And it's consistently like that. To the point where I feel like Odell sometimes he just be out there running routes like he ain't gonna throw it to me this. I'm just gonna get my exercise in because he's not gonna throw it to me, and it's a problem. And last night, for sure, or yesterday, if you saw any of that Cleveland game, Odell should have had 100-yard game with 3 touchdowns without question. 100% should have had it. He was targeted 7 times, but Baker only got the ball actually to him twice. And most of the times he threw Odell's way, it looked like this. And I want you to watch the disgust on Odell's face at the end. Take a look.
Field has time going deep. He's got Beckham. He had him indeed.
I mean, mean, it's one of those things where I'm like, were you aiming for his butt? Like, why would you? If the receiver has to turn, because I saw a lot of people say, oh, that was Baker's fault, or that was Odell's fault. He could have caught that. That's absolutely wrong. You run a route and you're supposed to pass it to where only the receiver can get it. If he would have dropped it in his hands, that's 6 on the board. He was all by himself. Kevin, what's going on with Baker Mayfield?
You know, the Cleveland Browns, again, are a team that can potentially be in LA where you guys are at in February. The reality is that Odell is just not a good fit. The beauty about football is that it's not always about the best teams. It's about the best chemistry. It's about the best cohesion of players and talent that work together in concert with each other. Odell doesn't fit. It's a fish out of water. On paper, you don't play real games on fantasy, right? So on paper, it looks great. Odell Beckham, the whole bit, but it just doesn't fit. Cleveland's a run-first team, play great defense, and when Odell gets looks, Baker right now hasn't shown to be that type of quarterback anyway. So I just don't think it fits. I actually feel bad for Odell. I think he really had it great in New York, not so much with the wins and losses, but just being that guy, and he is not that guy, and we all know that NFL careers go quick. And I just think, again, possibly in 2022, we won't see Beckham with Cleveland. I think now that they've gotten their identity, Stefanski and that group has gotten what they want to be, and they got their blueprint, there's really no place for Odell Beckham with this team.
Well, I mean, I really hope you're right, because Odell is the last person that I want to be stuck in purgatory. But his contract, he's not going to be a free agent until 2024. Do you think that they do the right thing and let him out of this situation now, or do you think they hold on to him until 2024?
Well, I think, again, now and previous, before the new staff and getting to know how can this fit, I think they realize now this doesn't work. So if it doesn't work and we know this player still has value on the open market, let's just trade him for some draft picks, because they didn't realize before if it didn't work. Odell got hurt. Now you look at it like, all right, we're 4 games in, we're playing great football, but it's just no cohesion here, and the quarterback is going to be here. So I think, again, now that they see it doesn't fit, they'll now go out and search for value. It won't happen this year, but look for that to happen around draft time.
So if you can't tell, I'm a huge Odell Beckham fan, and I want nothing more for him to be completely successful and him to be the wide receiver that we know he is. It's not about him. This is definitely a Baker Mayfield problem. That being said, I really like him. I want him to be successful. I see Kevin Lang in the chat. I don't know if I agree with this, because Gruden's always problematic for me. I don't know how I feel about Derek Carr, but he says that the Raiders would be a great fit for Odell Beckham. Do you agree?
I agree with Kevin. I think it would be a great fit. Let's look at Odell. Odell was in New York. He loved the lights. Vegas got lights. 1 check. Number 2, he would be easily the go-to option. The Raiders like to throw the ball down the field. Check 2. Derek Carr, you might not, but right now, as we're speaking this morning, they're undefeated. So,
right.
Decent football team. Check 3. I think it would be a great fit, because I think Gruden would know how to use Beckham. So I think, speaking of Kevin, what he's saying, I think if that can happen, that would be a great fit on all parts. Now, the key would be, would Cleveland trade him to the Raiders, because they're in the same division. So they're not going to trade a guy that can potentially knock them out of a potential Super Bowl opportunity. Cleveland's built this team for a long haul, so that would be the only thing to worry about when they trade within the AFC.
Yeah, I just, like I said, my only concern is I want Odell to be successful, but I have to give some shout out to the people who threw some shade Baker Mayfield's way, because it was warranted. So let's check this out. This person says federal time for Mayfield. I 100% agree. If you saw that game, it's like, bro, you should be locked up for not getting this man the ball. This is ridiculous. This one was interesting. This one says, I'm sorry, but from what I've been seeing from DJ, which is Daniel Jones, I would rather have him than Baker. If we put DJ on the Browns, they would have beat the Chiefs. Now, I'm not mad. I definitely, because, Baker Mayfield had like a 59.9% quarterback rating yesterday. So obviously this is better. I don't know, but I'm not mad at the shade. But this next one is my favorite shade of all, because they literally created a cycle. This is the Baker Mayfield cycle. He plays like crap. He's criticized by the media. He has an underdog mentality. They beat an inferior opponent, which has him call out the doubters, and then it's repeat. I 100% agree with that. Kevin, what do you think about that little rotation of Baker Mayfield.
That was actually pretty genius. I mean, to put that, somebody's got a lot of free time on their hands. But no, I agree with the chart and agree with you and everyone in the chat is saying about, Baker has some issues. And again, credit to the Brown staff because they realize this is not the same kid that won the Heisman in Oklahoma. He's not throwing the ball down the field. He's not stretching the field out. Let's just run the ball. We play great defense. I mean, Myles Garrett is a beast off the edge, and we're going to win close games. So they know what they got, and I think they're comfortable with that because they built that type of team. So, again, we'll see if that's going to help them out in the playoffs because I do believe that eventually you're going to have the quarterbacks have to win a game. You just can't manage a game to the Super Bowl. Those days are over with the Trent Dilfers and the Brad Johnsons of the world. He's going to have to win a game. So we'll see how it plays out. But right now, it's working.
Yes, and Gary, you are absolutely wrong. Baker Mayfield is overrated. He's good at them commercials. Now, I will say his acting chops is getting good. Those commercials started off kind of cringeworthy, but now I'm really enjoying those commercials. So maybe acting is in his future, but Odell is absolutely not overrated. That man has immense amount of talent, and he deserves all the accolades. But with that, let's go ahead and get into the post-up with me because Chris is not here. So let's just get into the post-up. This is going to be fun, guys, because I don't know if you guys know, but I genuinely try not to look at the post-up because I want to have like a true reaction to a lot of this. So this is going to be fun because some of these I haven't seen, but I know what they are. This one I did see because this one was funny to me. James Harden did not play, as we thought. None of the starters on either side of the ball for the Lakers or the Nets played, with the exception of Anthony Davis. If you remember last week, I told you I thought Anthony Davis was going to play a few minutes just to make sure that he is, basketball ready, and that's exactly what happened. He played a little bit over 11 minutes in the first quarter, and that was it. But then there's this moment in time where nothing is happening. James Harden is on the floor in what looks like a onesie, but it's actually a sweatsuit. And then all of a sudden, Dwight gets a technical. And I don't know what happened. So take a look. That was the most casual, non-confrontational technical I have ever seen in my life. I don't know what James Harden said to Dwight, but usually when guys get in confrontations like this and it results in a technical, even if you can't hear what they said, you'll see some head movement like, you know what? I bet you'll see something. But it's just Dwight standing there and he's just kind of chilling, and James is sitting in there with his hands in his pocket. And then technical foul on Dwight Howard. No idea what happened. Kevin, what do you think was said? What do you think Dwight said that caused him to get this technical?
You talk about being profiled. Like, man, I just say good morning. I just say, hey, how you doing? How was your summer? But I think, again, who knows what they talked about. I think, again, just, the officials are setting the tone. Like, everybody's in warm-up mode, right? The players are not playing or they're playing limited minutes. Everybody's in warm-up mode. So I think the officials are just setting the tone, realizing these two teams are the beasts of their divisions. They obviously, have some big games coming up in the regular season. I believe it's Christmas. So I just think that they're just setting the tone. Like, listen, you're not going to start like no matches here and then, blow them up like it's 4th of July when you play. So I just think the officials are being smart. But, Dwight Howard, talk about being profiled. Maybe just be quiet and worry about staying healthy and getting ready for the season. Same with James Harden. Got a onesie on. My goodness, like you're not in Paris anymore.
Right, because when I saw that, I was like, why has he got a damn onesie on? And then I was like, oh, that's a sweatsuit? That's terrible. Kevin Lang said he probably said something about the Masked Singer. That's exactly what I thought. I thought James Harden was like, oh, you sucked on the Masked Singer. And I thought Dwight was like, well, your beard smells like a stale mask. So what you got? But that's still not warm. That's just trash talk. I don't know. That was the calmest. Like somebody said, I think Mike Glock says he ended up getting ejected. So yeah, that was the calmest technical, because nobody even got irate. Usually after the ref was like technical, you'll see people's hands go in there like, come on, what the hell? Dwight looked over him like, oh, okay.
You know what, Jackie? Maybe they both planned it so they can get out of early. Maybe they didn't want to be, both didn't want to be there. Let's just set this up, reenact something so we can both leave early. Maybe that was it. Who knows? James was already ready to get the night to hit the LA out, hit the dress code out. He was already in fashion.
Of all the people that I can see plotting together, it would never be James Harden and Dwight Howard. I cannot see it, but I'm going to go with that for sure. Let's get on to this next one. Because this next one, I don't know. I'm sure all of you watched the Sunday Night Football, which I thought was fantastic. It was just a really good game. Tampa Bay ended up winning. The final score was 19-17. How they lost was hilarious. The ball hit the goalpost on the final kick of the day. It was like dong. It was so loud. It was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. But so Tom Brady, in my opinion, we talked a little bit about Giannis not really wanting to be friends with people. I think Tom Brady played this one right. Usually guys come out on the field early. They shake hands, especially when they've been there for a long time and they kind of talk. Tom Brady didn't do that. Tom Brady came out closer to actual game time. And we came out onto the field. When he came out through the tunnel, people were cheering him a little bit. I think it was like maybe 6. It might have been 50-50. He got some cheers, some boos. But by the time he ran out onto the field to actually play, it was all boos. Take a listen.
Off the opposite sideline. Well, you know, he got a tremendous ovation, I would say 6-1 in favor. But now that the game has started, enough of the romance. They want
that dude with the camera, I feel like tells you everything you need to know about New England fans. That fool whole mouth looked contorted as he booed, but then he was like, but it's Tom Brady. Let me get a picture. Like, he's so, what are you doing, sir? That was the most hilarious moment for me. I thought that game was really great. Like I said, at the end, Tom Brady was showing a lot of love to everybody. Like I said, I heard him asking about kids and dogs, but I did not see this. I watched the end of the game because I wanted to see if this embrace was going to happen. I didn't see it, but it did. But maybe the reason I didn't see it is because they are clearly surrounded by a mob of reporters because everyone wanted to see if this moment in time was going to happen. It did happen. I thought it would have been more of a like, they've always done these like, I love you hugs. I thought it would have been more of like an, okay. But it's not. It's still this I love you hug, which was great to see. Kevin, were you expecting this same old you're my guy kind of embrace?
Not in the slightest. And again, the reason why you didn't see it because it was just that quick. If you sneezed or blinked your eye, then it was gone. But again, this is Bill Belichick, who consistently he is. He's that type of coach. They did meet for an hour after the game in private. Somebody scheduled that meeting, so they did have that conversation. But that's just the type of coach he is. You're not going to get a long hug. These two, they really don't. I don't think they really like each other. They're not going to have Thanksgiving dinner at each other's homes anytime soon. But you really respect each other, and the respect is there. And like I said again, I think when you look at the game. I think Brady really was very emotional, unlike I've ever seen him. I think New England played well, and me as a Jet fan, I'm not going to give any love to New England, but I got to give love with credit when the credit is due. They played a pretty good game, and really had a chance to win at the end, which it says a lot. But Tampa Bay on the flip side, no Gronk, lot of injuries in the secondary. Again, they're lucky to get out there with a win.
Yeah, and Tom Brady, it was raining. It was a rainy Foxboro day, and there was one moment where he literally could have gotten Antonio Brown in the end zone, and he just slightly overthrew it. So this was one of those games where I was like, okay, is Tom Brady finally starting to show his age a little bit? Because he didn't do what I expected him to do in New England. Do you think he's starting to show his age a little?
I'm glad you mentioned that because I said that last week on another broadcast that Father Time is undefeated. And while this man is phenomenal, he's great. And, still probably better than half the quarterbacks in the league. They're all starting to see little chinks. There are things that I'm starting to notice that, again, at his age, halfway to 50, that's going to happen. So, I think, again, you just got to understand that this is a guy that's, at an extended age of his career. He's still very good, but the Tom Brady that we're used to is starting to wane a little bit, just a little. But then again, he'll probably come back next week and throw for 300 yards. But again, just from what I'm seeing, I've noticed that over the last 2 weeks. We'll see what happens next week, though. Maybe it was just emotion, but he's never been emotional. I don't know, but I agree with you, Jackie. That could be some time. That Father Time is kept on his heels.
Yep, I agree. Now, this next one is hilarious because I have a 55-inch TV, right? Which is, for the room that it's in, is a good size, but I got it in like 2016, so it's older. So every time I watch a game on it, I'll be like, damn, I need a new TV and I need a bigger TV. This is not how I should be watching football. No sports fan should be watching football on an old TV. Every time I watch a game, this is what I say to myself. Today, I am not going to say that to myself because I'm seeing how Julian Edelman is watching games. Y'all take a look at this.
That is a professional. You cannot call that a Matthew Slater. This guy is a Hall of Fame special teamer. What is the league?
Sir, you out here talking about what shouldn't happen with your TV on the floor. That, what? You're Julian Edelman. I didn't even hear what you were talking about. You were probably dropping gold. Your TV's on the floor. Kevin, why?
That man got 13-inch TV, man. My computer monitor I'm doing this show is bigger than that. I don't know. Maybe this keeps him normal. Maybe it's his way of saying I'm a normal guy. But even normal people put the TV on the stand or on a wall or something. So I can't call that. I think not to be in Julian's money, but I think he can afford a bigger TV and some brackets. But who can say?
I know, if I don't know nothing else on this planet, I know that Julian Edelman got more money than me. And I know that there is no way that I should be watching the games on a bigger TV than Julian Edelman.
And Jackie's time to give up that 2016. We've advanced in 5 years. It's time. Who
you telling? But this is what I'm saying. I was watching the game last night and I'm like, don't even look right. I need a new TV. For sure. But, I actually paid money last year. I got it, the special way. This year I actually paid for the ticket. So I ain't getting a new TV till next season. The ticket is not cheap. Little bastards is robbing me blind. So I'm going to get a TV next season. But let's go on to this next one. I'm still concerned about that. But so Steve Belichick is trending because of his facial expressions. Now, I have to admit, I saw this headline. I haven't actually seen his facial expression. I'm a little nervous, but let's take a look. See.
Steve Belichick.
I remember that. So I'm going to tell you again, last night I'm sitting there watching the game. Now this, a 55-inch 2016 TV, it's not high def. It's def, but it's not high def. So I don't know. Some of you guys might be too young to remember, but what he looks like to me is, when you throw water on Gizmo and he starts to turn into Stripe, the green gremlin, he looks like the transition between Gizmo and the green gremlin to me. That's what he looks like to me. Kevin, what does he look like to you?
Gremlin. He looks like one of those Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I mean, I don't know what was he thirsty? Couldn't give him a Gatorade bottle. I just don't get it with Steve Belichick. I mean, the hairdo enough is crazy. Now, I shouldn't be talking about hair because I don't have anything to play with. But nevertheless, it's like he put it like he wanted to lick the headset. Like, dude, we're in COVID. Like, please, somebody give him a Gatorade bottle. But it was not his finest hour, And I think obviously they were waiting for him. Somebody put the leak out that this guy has funny expressions. They had a camera waiting for him, and he got exactly what they was waiting for.
I saw one tweet, I should have put it in there, that he said, no, he ate, how everybody does those hot chip challenges, and his tongue is on fire because he don't have no milk or no water, so he's trying to get get the heat off of his tongue. But let's watch it one more time because I didn't even pay attention to the man's hair. I was just looking at all this right here. Does he have a full-on mullet? Is that a mullet? It is a mullet. I didn't know we were still doing mullets. I didn't know. Okay.
Well, he lives in Foxboro, so.
Right. He looked like he coming right out of an 80s sitcom. Bless his heart. Okay. All right. Wayne's World it is. Let's get into this next one because this coin toss annoyed me, but it is funny. But it annoyed me. But y'all take a look.
You're our visiting team. You have the choice. This is tails. This is heads. Heads is the call. And it is heads. We want that motherfucker, man. That's why we got to kick it. Kick it that way.
That became the theme of the game, you know. We want the ball, F them. That became the theme of the game.
You know what, Jackie, when I saw that happen, I really thought about you. I don't know why. I guess we communicate too much. Because I'm like, wow, I can wonder what Jackie's thinking right at this moment.
First of all, I cussed him out. I was like, you son of a, you gonna cuss like that on our symbol? No, we get the ball now, throw the flag, unsportsmanlike conduct. Where's the damn taunting rule? He taunting at the coin toss. Throw the flag. Why was there no flag?
Saturdays. They do that on Saturdays, not Sundays. That's a Saturday rule. But, you know, again, I mean, you know, it's an emotional game. He had to know the mic was on him. I don't think Peppers even cared. And that's what I loved about it. But I thought about you at that moment, you know, while I was agonizing over if the Jets were going to win their first game.
I saw but it's the pelvic thrust at the end. This is so disrespectful. Yeah.
Love it.
I was so mad. I feel bad for my neighbor because my neighbor's noisy as hell. But so she got that payback yesterday because I was loud and acting a fool. So you're welcome, sis. But let's get on to this next one. All right. So this is the one. This is the one I kind of mentioned earlier. We need to have a conversation about this because Urban Meyer is trending for all the wrong reasons. I think he should be trending for being open about the fact that he can't cut it in the NFL. It's time for him to go, you know, back to college. But nonetheless, he's dancing with a girl who is not his wife. Dare I say, looks more like his daughter. Take a look. Now, a couple problems with this video. Number one, it's not his wife. Number two, she does look like his daughter. Number three, I can't see what's happening with his hand. His hand is out of sight. I don't like this. Kevin, let's say you are married and your wife sees this video. What does she think?
As the great Bill Clinton once said, I did not have sex relations with that woman. Listen, I mean, I don't know what Urban was thinking. He went back to Ohio. He has the Ohio State pullover, so I think nobody's going to notice me. I have a pullover. They're not going to know it's me. But this doesn't look good with all the things he's going through and the 0-4 and you know, and Urban plays that role like he's like greater than thou. Like he's not like, you know, one of these guys that comes out and has this edge to him. He's more like the, you know, sanctuary insanity, all that. So it looks bad for him. So, you know, I know he had a press conference about this morning. I didn't get a chance to see it, but he's got bigger issues, you know. This doesn't even look good for him going to SC next year, which I'm on record before this happened of saying he was going to be the next SC coach, USC coach, because he can't cut it in the NFL. This is not his level.
Not at all. And he's made horrible decisions. And so I wasn't surprised to see this per se, because he's made horrible decisions. First, he brought in that coach that he knew was racist. Then he brought in Tim freaking Tebow for some unknown reason. And then he had to cut him. And so when I saw this, I'm like, this is just the Urban's way. You know, he's just this guy. Gary said that's between him and his wife. Let me tell y'all something. It's never between just you and your wife when you dumb enough to get caught on camera. It's between you and your wife when it's private and don't nobody know but you and your wife. But right now, it's all about us. So Twitter had something to say as well. Said Urban Meyer about to tell his wife this Trevor Lawrence. I can't with y'all. That's a good one, though, because Trevor does have that luxurious hair. Let's go to this next one. This says Dwayne Haskins coming onto social media watching Urban Meyer cheat on his wife after a four-game losing streak after calling Haskins immature 2 months ago. Y'all got time, and I love it. I love that y'all have time on the internet. Do we have one more? Okay, yeah. So every Monday for Urban Meyer for the next 14 weeks. Facts. That's absolute facts. I'm still trying to figure out why he doesn't cut it like this. Here's an apology. Okay. I didn't read this one, so let's go. Jaguars coach Urban Meyer said he apologized to his team for being a distraction. Does he think that just happened? Does he think this? Anyway, said he was at an event and people tried to get him on the dance floor and he should have left. Said he never should have put himself in that position. It looked like he liked the position he was in to me. But Kevin.
Now, Jackie, this is a family show. So all I'm going to say is that next time, Urban, take a cue from your players. Have somebody bring the situation to the hotel room and, take the cameras away like Derek Jeter does. No photography, no video. But, it is a distraction because he's the type of coach, and going way back to his Ohio State, Florida days, even going back to when he coached at Utah on the college level, it was always about distractions. He's another guy like Saban, the rat poison comments. These guys all believe that. So he just gave his team rat poison. You're 0-4. You don't seem to have adjustments in the second half when you come out for third and fourth quarters. And now on your weekend off, you're out grinding with a co-ed. Great job, Coach Meyer. You really are showing example, leadership at its finest.
Yeah, this, if we're talking about him being a distraction, this is a very minute piece of him being a distraction. He has a lot of ways that he's become a distraction. And that was even before we even entered training camp. So, this moment in time is funny to me because when you're Urban Myers, if you don't know anything else, you should know that if there are phones in the room and you're doing something that your wife will go, what in the hell? Somebody's filming it. His lack of common sense, I think, is what is troubling to me from him. But Urban, if you could let us know what your wife said, I'm petty enough. I want to know. So, if you want to just put that out there, I'd appreciate it. So let's get on to this next one, because I know Kevin has a comment about this, because speaking of mic drop, here's the thing about mic drops. Okay. So the coin toss, as much as it pissed me off, it works because they won. But if you drop the mic and you lose, then what does that mean? So I want y'all to check out this mic drop from Lane Kiffin. I already messed the name up, but check out this mic drop from Lane. It's hilarious.
You had a page of notes from your time here to reference back as to what bothers a Nick Saban coach team. What's on the backside of that piece of paper to tell you about today?
Well, let's hope we didn't run out of pages. So here we go. Get your popcorn ready.
Well, what's the big thing?
Whoa.
Okay, I think I know what he was trying to do. But the execution was slightly flawed. And then they lost that game by, I think, 20 points. Let's start with the execution. Kevin, how was the execution of the mic drop? Was it okay?
Come on, it was a joke. I mean, listen, man. Stop trying. You're not a player right now. You're a head coach of a major university in the SEC. Act like it. I'm going to drop the mic. Yeah, get your pot. You're not T.O., and you're going against the number one team in the country and proceed to get your tail stomped. And that 20-point win, the game wasn't even close. It was I think it was 28-0 at the half, and Bama was laughing at them. So, everybody, even the coaches nowadays, everybody wants to be a personality. If you see Urban, Lane Kiffin, he's a lot on social media, and he's responding back to Michael Wilbon. Coach your team. Focus on your team. Ole Miss is not that great a program. They need work. Focus on your program. They got a great quarterback, but this just looks bad. Yeah, it looks good when you win, when you want to play that game. Yeah, I know we're going to take care of business, but then you go get your tail whooped. You look really stupid.
If this had been a player, like if they interviewed a player at the beginning of the game, okay, haha, kiki, it's funny because it's a kid, and, it's fine. Or we expect this kind of antics from players. But when you're the coach and you have to go lead a team, it just seems a little weird to me. Kevin Lang says Lane must know where the bodies are buried. Maybe. I just didn't like. Plus, here's the thing. If you do a mic drop, you have to get it off and drop it. You can't get it off, fumble with it, take a couple steps, and then throw it. Because you look silly. So practice in the mirror before you do it on camera. That's all I have to say about that one. All right, let's get into this next one, because I got to tell you, I sent this to our producer and she was like, I've already seen it. This bothers me on a ton of levels. I know people are cheering her on, but I'm like, girl, no. And technically it is dope, but for me, it troubles me and I can't figure out why. But y'all take a look at how this young lady catches this ball. I don't know if you can tell, but that is her prosthetic leg. She took her leg off. You see the foot at the bottom? She took her leg off and caught it with her leg. Here's why this bothers me, because I don't know if it's appropriate for me to laugh. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things like, can I laugh at this? Because technically I'm laughing that she got a leg she could take off. I don't like it. Kevin, help me. I'm struggling with this one.
Well, I'm sure the people who create the prosthetic leg, and I'm happy she has that, I'm sure that they didn't think that was one of the other things that could be used just to catch baseballs with your prosthetic leg. But nevertheless, she didn't kick anybody with the shoe part, with the foot part, so nobody was hurt. And again, she got a ball, she got a souvenir. I'm glad she didn't drop the leg or, have any issues with it, or have the ball hit a certain part that could have cracked the leg, and then we got a whole nother issue. But nevertheless, hey, you know what? She had a great time. She caught the ball, and she's on the fumble. Mission accomplished.
All I keep thinking about is that scene from Guardians of the Galaxy where Rocket's like, I need his prosthetic leg. That's all I kept thinking about. And I was like, I didn't really need it. I was just kidding. Like, oh, God. Okay, that's all we got. I mean, it was dope. And she smiled and she had a good time. So as long as she's having a good time, it's fine. And I'm glad. I'm with you, Kevin. I'm 100% happy she didn't accidentally kick somebody in the face with the foot, as she was all happy. So I guess it's all good. But that's all we got for the post up. Let's get into what we not going to do. And I'm going to kind of tread lightly in this one, because while I absolutely positively do not agree with Stephen A. Smith, I understand what he is trying to say. You guys know that King James, my GOAT James is my guy and everything, but I don't think saving the entire Black community is his responsibility. Quite frankly, I think he's done so much that if he doesn't do anything else, he's done enough. He's done more than any of us will ever do, and he's done more than a lot have even attempted to do. So he's definitely set the bar high. I get that, and I respect that. But Stephen A. has a huge problem with Kyrie. He has a problem with Kyrie not even taking the vaccine and being MIA. He also has a huge problem with LeBron not doing more to advocate for people getting the vaccine. Both of them are problematic in their own ways, but I want to show you what he had to say about Kyrie specifically first.
You've got coaches, administrators, arena officials, referees. Everybody's been mandated to be vaccinated, but the players, because you haven't reached an agreement with the union. And you standing up here knowing that New York and San Francisco are the two cities that said, you don't play unless you vaccinated. You don't go to indoors.
Two cities for now.
And you ain't, for now, and you ain't show up.
So, if you saw the stand-up I did about this last week, there's two sides to every story, right? So Kyrie was going on and on about it's a personal decision. It's a private decision. I want to keep my private, personal decision private about the vaccine. No, technically he did not show up for media day, but I gave him a lot of props for not just saying, okay, I can't show up and leaving it at that. He did not only do media day, so he made it so that reporters could come in via Zoom, which isn't a big deal because we've been doing that for the last year and a half, doing these press conferences via Zoom. So he made it so reporters could come in and speak to him. And he also did it on his Instagram Live so we as fans could see it, because technically we wouldn't be able to see it if it was just the reporters. So he did, even though he didn't show up, he showed up. So he did what he could do to not make his personal decision just absolutely count him out of being taking part of media day. Now that's not going to help him come game time, because come game time, you just can't be in the building. So he's going to have to figure that out. And so for that, I do co-sign with Stephen A. I also believe this, and I've said this time and time again, a lot of you have disagreed with me. That's fine. I don't care. I stand by what I say. When you're talking about a team sport, and especially when you have the skill set of a Kyrie, of a LeBron James, and your team needs that skill set, there are certain sacrifices you have to make on the court and to get onto the court to make sure that you can lend those skill sets to your team. So at this point, if you're not getting the vaccine, you're a detriment to your team. So when people say, hey, if they don't get the vaccine, I would say cut them. I don't necessarily agree with that, because a lot of the guys that are not vaccinated, I actually really like. But I understand that mindset, because now you're a detriment to your team. If you can't be on the court, you're a detriment to your team, period. Now, here's where because I was going to come for Stephen A. I really, really was, until I watched this whole little tirade that he has. And those are hard to watch. But I watched the whole thing. And for him, he was honest. He said that he also was very hesitant to get the vaccine until he had a doctor friend take him into the ICU in a hospital. And that's when he saw most of the people. He said it wasn't all, but he said most of the people who were in there looked like him. So let me just read you his quote. So he says, I was hesitant to take the vaccine myself, but a guy named Dennis Pullen brings me to an ICU where I saw nothing there but Black people, because so many Black people were hesitant to take the vaccine. When you saw the detrimental impact that it was having on our community, that's when I felt compelled to step up and take the vaccine. 100. Stephen A. I got nothing but good things to say about you doing that. There's a couple things you did right here. Number one, you admitted that you were hesitant. Number two, you were open enough to let somebody who is entrenched in this world and the detriment that COVID has played in our community, you were open enough to let them say, hey, I need to show you something. And you went and you saw it and it impacted you. And you shared that with us. You did everything right in that aspect. But here's the thing. If y'all go to my YouTube page later on this afternoon, you'll see it. I talked about this. There's a disconnect. The reason why a lot of Black, because you guys know I was hesitant, and I'm still right now because I'm fully vaccinated. I got fully vaccinated mainly because of my mother and work, but my mother was first and foremost, because I just couldn't rationalize, like, okay, I have a strong immune system. There's a chance that I would get it, wouldn't even know. And then if I pass it on to her and she's older, I couldn't live with myself. So I got mine mainly because of the love for my mom. And then two, it just became convenient because I wasn't gonna be able to do some of the jobs I do if I hadn't. That being said, though, I'm not getting a booster shot because now I'm like, no, y'all told me 2. Why the hell I need 3? And because my mind instantly goes back to where I was before I got the vaccine. The government has done a piss poor job of reassuring the people. I work in Long Beach. One of the stories that we're covering right now is how the Black community, the community in Long Beach that has the largest population of Black people, 90%, and it might be more than that, but I'm just going to go on the low end and say, but 90% of the children that are born in that community have asthma. The reason why they have asthma is because it's near an industrial complex, and they have complained about this to the government for decades, and the government has done nothing. Then you talk about the Tuskegee experiments. Then you talk about the fact that Black women in this country have a higher mortality rate just giving birth. And then you talk about that people have died. We've seen a Black doctor die in the ICU because people wouldn't listen to her about her pain. Then you hear stories like that about, oh, Black people are in the hospital and they're not being taken seriously. And then they die. And then it's like, oh, whoops, we should have done this. So when you as the government, and you know the past evils, intentional evils that you have done to a group of people that you haven't paid penance for, and then you know the current medical disconnects and the medical disparages that we have in our community, and you say nothing but, oh, you better take this vaccine, to us, it's going to look like you're pushing something on us with ill intent because you haven't fixed everything else. So this isn't a LeBron problem. Stephen A was like, LeBron is in this position where he knows that if he says, hey, Black community, you know I ride for you. You know I'm trying to send all of y'all to school if I can. You know that I speak out on social injustice. You know that I'm trying to push for equity and equality in this country, and I think you should get the vaccine. Stephen A is saying that would carry a lot of weight with Black people, and he's correct. But LeBron James is still a Black man in this country who understands all the evils that have been done to us before and currently. And he cannot say to a group of people, hey, the government hasn't done anything to correct all of these things. They probably never will, but y'all should trust them on this one. He can't do that. The government hasn't done anything to make itself look trustworthy. LeBron saying something to make them look trustworthy all of a sudden takes away LeBron's credibility. He said this the absolute right way. This is a personal choice. I cannot tell you what to put into your body because everything that LeBron is fighting against is an external fight. Police shooting at us, that's an external fight. Us not having the ability to go to school and get jobs, that's an external fight. He's not saying, hey, inject this in you and then all of a sudden you're going to have a great education. That's not what he's saying. There's two totally different things. And when a government is not doing anything to build trust in the people, LeBron is not going to change that because then we would look at him funny. So Stephen A has to understand both sides of this. It's not LeBron's responsibility to circumvent the ill wills of the government. It's not his, because he can't, because we know. And then the day after he says that, we're going to see something else. There's going to be a police shooting or something else is going to happen. And now we're going to be like, seeing LeBron's out here caping for the government. He can't do that. He can't discredit his credibility for the vaccine. He did what he was supposed to do. He said, it's a personal choice. This is why I got it. And if you ride with LeBron, hearing him say, this is why I got it, that's going to be enough. But he can't cape for the government. That's not what he can do. Stephen A, you was wrong. I know what you was trying to do. And I know what you're trying to say. Black people are dying from this disproportionately. That's true. That's also because, though, we disproportionately have diabetes, hypertension, and all these things that come in our community because we live in food deserts. We don't have medical care in our communities. Again, if you fix one, the other wouldn't be as big a problem. It's a big cluster mess is what it is. So I'm not going to tell anybody what to do. I can tell you what I did, and I can tell you why, and I can tell you, you do what's best for you. And that's it. And LeBron said the same thing. So that's all I got to say for what we're not going to do. Kevin, what do you think? Do you think Stephen A has a point and that LeBron should have just said, hey, Black community, we're dying from this. You need to get the vaccine? I don't think he should have said that, but do you think he should have?
Well, I think you made very, very great points. I understand what Stephen A is saying because LeBron is a voice. LeBron is somebody who can change the trends. He's got people who look up to him and follow him. He's been that way, and he's taken on that responsibility. So with that responsibility comes, a great chore. I think, again, with LeBron getting the vaccine says a lot as well. So without having to say much, I think by him saying, hey, I got this, or you can see I got it, I mentioned it, I'm playing, because I'm vaccinated in the NBA, that's saying a lot to the people who are on the fence. But what I will say, and I'm vaccinated as well, just for the record, is that I encourage people who look like us to go research because, again, in our backgrounds, in our schools, we never got that education. I mean, we never got to learn about all the magnificent things our culture has done. Most people only know about, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And that's really it. It's so much more to our culture. So what I will say is that in 2021, as you're watching the show through a digital device, use that digital device when the show is over to go to different websites, to go to CDC. Let's don't take the cop out of going to somebody on Twitter or some fake news story, because those news stories can actually kill you. They can actually be a situation where somebody might be young and like you are, Jackie, God bless, but their loved ones around you are not so lucky. I took the shot because I'm asthmatic, and I realized that, in the past, if I had got asthma, a cold, and got asthma from that, I could be in the hospital just from a cold. So I realized that I had to be safe and sorry. So I love to tell people just like us, and all people, do what's best for you, but realize this is not a game. I've lost a lot of friends, a lot of former teammates when I played football that were heavy and had different situations. This is no joke. Be safe, be smart, get the education, talk to your doctor, and realize what you got to do for yourself. And that's all I can say. But it is, I can't tell anybody what to put in their body, but be smart and with your decisions and be wise.
And that is the perfect way to end this show. 100% agree with that. You guys, thank you so much for joining us today on The Fumble. Don't forget, we've got some more stories coming out today. Make sure you check those out. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know every time some content comes out. Kev, I don't know if I had you shout out your social media at the top of the show. Shout that out really quick.
It's all good. It's again, thank you so much to the team here at the Fumble. It's always great to come fit with you guys. Again, you can hit me on Instagram or Twitter at 950kev. Also, you can listen to my radio show 950 Lounge that broadcasts at 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday on multiple platforms. Check your local listings for that information. And thank you again. This has been great.
Yes, you're quite welcome. Thanks for being there for us today. We appreciate you. You guys, don't forget you can follow me on all things social media at JRay the Fanatic. We will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Fumble Live. You guys be safe. And don't forget, make good choices. See you tomorrow. Bye.